Hi, welcome to my channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about the reasons why this puzzle you see before you, the MF8 Crazy 4x4 version 3, is my favorite puzzle. And it's my favorite one for the time being. That's not to say it's always going to be my favorite one, but after 6 years of solving puzzles and having owned about 100 different types of puzzles, I would say for now, this one is my favorite one. And so the reasons that this is my favorite one. The first reason is it's a good level of difficulty. I feel that for someone experienced, it's not too difficult to solve, but it's difficult enough where, it takes, let's say for me, it takes about 10-15 minutes to solve it. And when I was first learning to solve it, it was quite a bit of a challenge to wrap my head around it. And but on the other hand, someone who's absolutely new to twisty puzzles, it will be impossible for them to pick up this puzzle and just learn it. You have to learn other puzzles first. You have to learn a 3x3, a 4x4, and certain other types of puzzles, and you kind of have to, get your mind used to wrapping its head around all kinds of perspective bending aspects. So that's number one, the balance of difficulty versus ease. Number two is when it's in its solved state, it looks relatively simple. It looks kind of like a 4x4 with these kind of odd looking circles. But once you start to scramble it and people see the way it scrambles with the inner circles staying fixed, as people have told me, it looks like almost impossible. Like, how could someone solve it, and that's kind of cool. I like that about it. Number three is there's many steps involved in solving this puzzle. And they're different, and there's sub-steps to steps, and that adds an exciting aspect. It's not something very repetitive. For instance, imagine solving like an 11x11 cube. It's a long solve, but like for instance, when you're reducing the centers, you're repeating a lot of the same thing, or when you're reducing the edges, you're repeating a lot of the same thing. In this case, you have a lot of different steps, so it adds a lot of variety to it. So that's number two. Number three, actually that was number three, my mistake. So reason number four is there's elements to the solve that require shifting your perspective and thinking outside the box. For instance, normally you wouldn't think that these two inner edge pieces, this green and this white, are connected to each other, but they are. And in order to place it properly where you need to really bend your perspective to visualize how it's going to move. And the same thing, like this yellow QB, this orange one, and this green one, it's actually all part of an inner single piece. And also, like with this little corner piece that's connected to these two edge pieces, the green and the orange, connected to this tiny inner red piece right here. And that makes for a very kind of perspective bending aspect to it, which brings me to reason number six, which is the hidden aspect of these tiny inner corners. They make the puzzle look more difficult, but in fact you don't need to solve them. You just solve the rest of the puzzle and these solve themselves, but it's not apparent until the very end of the solve. Throughout the most of the solve, these all tiny inner corner pieces look like they're out of place, and so that adds to the wow factor of the puzzle itself. So that was number six. Number seven, let's say you're short on time. You don't have 10-15 minutes or however long it takes you. You could actually scramble and solve this as a crazy 3x3, which is also fun to solve, and you could do it relatively quickly. On the other hand, let's imagine you have a lot of free time. It's a rainy day, you're stuck at home for whatever reason, or currently like our situation now with COVID-19, we're all quarantined at home. And so you could do something like the impossible scramble pattern, which it's very complicated. Takes me several hours to do it on this puzzle. It keeps you busy for a long time. So yeah, that's another thing. Reason number eight is that it does not shapeshift. And I actually like shape-shifting puzzles, but the thing is, let's say I want to take it for traveling, and if it's scrambled, it's a little more difficult to package it. Let's say, because if it's a shape-shifted puzzle that's scrambled, I have to throw it just into my backpack or something like that, and if it gets bumped around, pieces might pop out or something like that. But in this case, since even when it's scrambled, it's not shape-shifted, I could just put it into a box that's fitted to the size of this cube, and I could safely travel with it. So that's number eight. Number nine, in general, I've always had a thing for 4x4 based puzzles, and even though this is strictly speaking not exactly like a regular 4x4, the way it solves, it's technically, it's related to 4x4s, and so I like that about it as well. Reason, I lost count of the number of reasons, but the next reason is it has a unique parity fix. In the end, once everything is reduced and everything, and let's say you're down to the last layer and you have two reduced edges that are swapped, there's a unique algorithm to fix it. And by itself, the algorithm looks very difficult, but if you break it down in a certain way that makes it easier to memorize, it's very doable to do. So the next reason is that it's fairly close to the original Rubik's Cube, and as far as it just looks like a basic cube aside from the circles, except it looks like it's a 4x4 basically, but it doesn't look like some kind of very complicated puzzle. It looks very traditional as far as like the original cube. I like that about it as well. And also the fact that it's stickerless. I've always had a thing for stickerless puzzles, especially puzzles that have small pieces. I never like small stickers because they come off very easily. One small sticker comes off and you have to, you have to get a whole new set of stickers, even though you don't need most of those stickers. So usually I try to stay clear of the stickered puzzles and get the stickerless ones when I can. And so I think those are all the reasons why, for me personally, this is my favorite cube for the time being. There's one con about it, which is that it's a bit catchy. Not too much. It turns quite well, but some turns could be a bit catchy. We could actually look at that as a good thing, because if it catches, you're forced to focus on your algorithms, because if you're not focused, you're just doing it from muscle memory, and you lose your place. When it catches, you could end up messing up a lot of what you've solved. But if you're staying focused, knowing that it could catch, then you stay focused, and you don't mess up your solve, and you continue even if it catches. So those are the reasons that for me, this is my favorite puzzle for the time being. And so I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and until next time.